Welcome to Everyday First Class. In this video, we're going to be talking about olive oil, how to identify quality in the king of oils. Welcome to Everyday First Class. I'm Joanna, and today we're talking about how to identify quality in olive oil. It can be very confusing. If you go to the grocery store, there are a million different bottles to choose from. So how do you know you're getting a quality oil? Before we get into that, let's talk about why you want a quality oil. Olive oil is well known for its health benefits, primarily derived from its high level of antioxidants and polyphenols. It's a healthful, satisfying fat that also has anti-diabetes, anti-heart disease, even anti-cancer properties wrapped up in those antioxidants and polyphenols. And the higher quality olive oil you get, the more of those health benefits you're going to receive from the oil. So let's talk about a few things you do and don't want to do with olive oil. First of all, heat, light, and age are the enemy of any olive oil. The older it is, the less healthful it is. The more heat it's exposed to, those health benefits are going to go down. Likewise with light. I used to take my olive oil and pour it into one of those nice ceramic jars with the spout. I don't do that anymore. All of that just exposes the oil to light, which is going to reduce its health benefits, which is not what we want. I just pour it straight from the bottle that it came in. Also, keeping it fresh is important, obviously, because age, so the fresher the olive oil, the better. And also, because heat destroys the health properties in it, I do not use olive oil for frying, and I don't recommend that other people do it either. There are plenty of other oils to choose from, such as coconut oil or ghee, that will give you a good saute, and you're not using your high-quality olive oil just to destroy it in the frying pan. Okay, so let's move on to the first markers of quality that we're going to be looking at, which is the label. Sometimes the only measure you have of quality is going to be what's on the label. You're not always able to taste the olive oil at the same time that you're purchasing it. So it's important to know how to understand how to read the labels on olive oil. Now, unfortunately, the laws regarding what can go on the label and what has to go on the label are kind of a work in progress. So it really pays to be an educated consumer. There are some things that you always want to look for. You always want to make sure it says extra virgin. This is the highest quality of olive oil you can get, extra virgin, and it's not hard to find. So don't sell yourself short by getting light olive oil, or there's some other lower qualities. You don't want that. You don't want to put that in your body. You want to you spend a few dollars more, it's going to be okay, and get something that you can actually put into your body that's good for you. So first point, extra virgin always. Second, you're going to want to look for the country of origin on the label. This is actually a requirement. So this is something that if you can't find the country of origin on the label, do not buy it. There's a lot of different countries that produce olive oil, so sometimes you'll see multiple countries of origin on the label. That's okay, but the fewer countries of origin, the better. The absolute best thing you can see is that the olive oil is coming from a single orchard produced by a single producer. So I'll show you what I mean on some of the labels when we kind of dive into these in a few minutes. The next thing you want to look for is the best by date, another thing that's required. Generally, the best by date is going to be 2 years from the date of harvest. So the closer out to 2 years you see for the best by date, the fresher the olive oil is going to be. Speaking of dates, harvest date. You might start seeing this more and more often on the labels because there was a big lawsuit against the parent company of Bertolli. They get into a lot of trouble for not being so honest on their labeling on their olive oil. But the harvest date is also a good thing to see. If you see that, number one, it means The producer is probably a little bit more conscientious. They want to give the consumer more information, not less. And that helps you judge how fresh the oil is. So another thing that you might start seeing on the labels more often, now that there's a good way to test it, is a polyphenol count. If you see that on there, that's great. The higher, the better. A low polyphenol count would be 300, and 500 would be considered higher. I believe it can go all the way up to 800. So this is a good measure of quality and the healthfulness of the oil that you're buying. Another interesting tip that I heard that I never really thought about before was when it comes to olive oil, you do not want the top shelf. What does that mean? The bottles that are on the top shelf in the grocery store are exposed to more light and heat from the overhead lighting. Therefore, it could negatively impact the quality of the oil inside the bottle. So that was a good tip that I found on a website. It was really nice. So let's look at these labels in depth. The first label we're going to talk about is this Kirkland extra virgin olive oil from Costco. This label is straight up just the required facts. Notice it's packed in Italy, but the oil is actually from Tunisia, Portugal, and Spain. That means they bought oil from 3 different countries and transported to Italy for packaging, then shipped it to where I bought it in the state of Georgia. That's just a lot of places along the supply chain for things to go wrong, failures to occur, heat and light exposure, for poor quality care to be taken, and so on. Also, by the time I bought it, it had already been in the bottle for nearly a year. Honestly, even though this is technically organic, I do not use this oil for food. I do, however, use it when I make body washes or sugar scrubs, and it's great for that purpose, especially for the low price. Next up, we have this bottle from Wilderness Family Naturals. I like this company. They make a wide variety of healthy food products, including this olive oil. Now, this one lists a single country of origin, Turkey. That's good. The fewer the better. Fewer places for things to go wrong. It's also organic, which is my preference. It does not list a harvest date, only the best by date, which is a little difficult to see. I enjoy the quality and flavor of this oil, and it is quite a bit more expensive than the Kirkland brand. In this case, I believe the additional cost is justified due to a higher quality product. The last label is from a bottle of California Olive Ranch extra virgin olive oil. At first blush, this makes it sound like this oil came exclusively from a single orchard. But if you read closer on the back, it is actually a cooperative of growers. That's still okay, and they all do come from California, so a single state, even though it's a huge state with lots of microclimates, but that discussion is for another video. It's not organic, but it does have the little non-GMO seal, which I appreciate. It also has the logo for the California Olive Council just above that. This is a point in its favor because it means that the company is adhering to certain quality measures that are set forth by that governing body. It gives the consumer some measure of confidence. This bottle also shows the harvest date, another bit of info you can use to make the best decision you can. I'd like to briefly touch on a single orchard olive oil I've used in the past that has really high quality products, Chafin Family Orchards. Sadly, I do not have any on hand right now because their production runs are limited, and typically you need to get in on buying a future to get your hands on it. Some years are better than others, and I've gotten gallon jugs for as low as $60, but have seen them go up to considerably higher than that. If you can swing it, this is an exceptional product. But if you can't, don't feel bad. There are plenty of other great oils to be had. Last but not least, we're going to talk about markers of quality in flavor. It really counts. So there's like 700 different varieties of olives that could end up in olive oil. So the flavor profile of different oils could be vastly different. They do not all taste the same. Now, what you're going for in flavor, when you're talking about what you're going to do with it, if you're going to put it on a salad, you might want a more peppery olive oil. If you're going to make mayonnaise, you might want a more mild olive oil. So that comes down to taste and preferences and what you're using. But when you're talking about quality, there are a few things that you really want to be looking for. So first of all, bitterness and pungency is actually a good quality for an olive oil to have. This means that it's high in those antioxidants and polyphenols that we really want to get. You want to make sure that it has a vibrant mouthfeel, that it's crisp and clean. You don't want greasy tasting or metallic tasting olive oil. And above all, you do not want an olive oil that has any flavors of being rancid. And olive oil can go, even quality olive oil can go rancid very quickly if it's not treated well. So what does a rancid olive oil taste like? I would compare it to tasting like wet newspaper or old walnuts. If you've ever tasted or smelled walnuts that have been sitting around for a while, it has that really off aroma. If you're getting any of that from your olive oil, that olive oil is either not quality or it has been around too long to be of any use to you anymore. There are a lot of resources available to help you learn more about olive oil, more than you ever wanted to know possibly. One of them is truthinoliveoil.com. It's a great resource there. Also, Olive Oil Times, which is a news source about olive oil. The California Olive Council is another one, and the North American Olive Oil Association. So I'll drop some links to those down in the description box below so you can do some research on your own, which I highly recommend. Olive oil is an exceptional thing to add to your diet, and make sure it's the highest quality possible. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. You also might want to hit the subscribe button, and if you do, please hit the little notification bell so that every time I upload a video, you can make sure you don't miss it. There may be something there to help you make your life better every day.